Have you ever wondered what drove one of the most powerful and feared leaders of the 20th century? Joseph Stalin, a name that still resonates with power, terror, and mystery. This is our starting point today as we begin to unravel the enigma of Stalin's life and legacy through the lens of Edward Radzinsky's book, aptly titled Stalin. Joseph Stalin, born as Joseph Vissarionovich Jugashvili, was a man of humble beginnings. Born in Gori, Georgia in the late 19th century, Stalin's early years were marked by poverty and hardship. However, these circumstances did not hinder his rise to become one of the most influential figures of the 20th century. Edward Radzinsky, renowned Russian author and historian, delves deep into the life of Stalin, exploring his journey from a seminary student to the supreme leader of the Soviet Union. Radzinsky's book is not just a biography, it's a comprehensive study of a man who continues to baffle historians even today. Radzinsky's extensive research, drawn from previously undisclosed archives, offers a unique perspective into Stalin's life and character. The author paints a vivid picture of Stalin's ascension to power, his political maneuverings, and the ruthless measures he adopted to maintain his authority. Yet, the enigma that is Stalin extends beyond his political life. He was a paradox, a man of stark contradictions. On one hand, he was a ruthless dictator, responsible for the deaths and suffering of millions. On the other, he was a reformer who transformed the Soviet Union into a global superpower. This dichotomy is what makes Stalin such a fascinating figure. He was a man who wielded immense power, yet his life was shrouded in mystery. He was feared and revered, loved and loathed, all at the same time. As we delve deeper into the life of Stalin, we are faced with a paradox of a man who was both a dictator and a reformer. As we journey through the pages of Radzinsky's book, we will continue to explore this paradox, attempting to understand the enigma that is Joseph Stalin. Emerging from the shadows of obscurity, Stalin climbed the ladder of power with a ruthless determination. Born as Iosif Vissarionovich Jugashvili in the late 19th century, Stalin was not destined for power. Yet through a combination of cunning, brutality, and sheer will, he managed to rise from a humble background to become one of the most influential leaders of the 20th century. Stalin's journey to power was not an easy one. It was marked by relentless political maneuvering, strategic alliances, and a series of purges that eliminated potential rivals. He was a master tactician, always thinking several steps ahead of his opponents. His ability to consolidate power was truly remarkable, and he did it with an iron fist, showing no mercy to those who stood in his way. In the early 1920s, after Lenin's death, Stalin methodically outmaneuvered his rivals within the Soviet Union's political hierarchy. He skillfully played one against the other, all the while strengthening his own position. By the end of the decade, he had effectively become the unchallenged leader of the Soviet Union. Once in power, Stalin wasted no time in establishing a totalitarian regime. He implemented a series of radical economic policies, including widespread collectivization of agriculture and rapid industrialization, that transformed the Soviet Union into a world superpower. But these policies came at a terrible cost. Millions of people died from famine and persecution under his rule. Stalin's leadership style was as ruthless as his rise to power. He ruled with an iron fist, and his reign was marked by widespread political repression, censorship, and mass surveillance. He was a leader who believed in the absolute power of the state and had no qualms about using fear and intimidation to maintain control. In the grand scheme of things, Stalin's rise to power was a testament to his ruthless determination and strategic acumen. He was a leader who was willing to do whatever it took to achieve his goals, no matter the cost. In a world where power was everything, Stalin proved that he would stop at nothing to attain and maintain it. Under Stalin's rule, the Soviet Union was transformed, but at what cost? This question takes us to the heart of the Stalinist era, a period marked by terror and oppression, where the pursuit of power overshadowed the value of human life. One of the most brutal episodes of this reign was the Great Purge. From the mid to late 30s, Stalin orchestrated a campaign of political repression, resulting in the execution and imprisonment of hundreds of thousands. Politicians, intellectuals, artists, anyone seen as a threat to Stalin's absolute power, were ruthlessly eliminated. The Great Purge was a chilling testament to Stalin's paranoia and his insatiable hunger for control. But the terror didn't stop there. Stalin imposed forced collectivization, a policy aimed at consolidating individual land and labor into collective farms. The aim was to increase agricultural productivity and support the rapidly industrializing country. However, the execution was nothing short of a catastrophe. Millions of peasants opposed this policy, leading to widespread famine, particularly in Ukraine, where it took the form of a genocide known as the Holodomor. The human cost was enormous, with millions of lives lost to starvation. Then, there were the labor camps, or the gulags, scattered across the vast expanses of the Soviet Union. They were places of extreme hardship, where prisoners were forced to work in inhumane conditions, often until death. These camps served as a grim reminder of Stalin's disregard for individual rights and his willingness to sacrifice human lives for his own ambitions. Stalin's rule transformed the Soviet Union into a global superpower, yet this transformation was soaked in the blood of millions who fell victim to his ruthless policies. His reign was a period of intense fear and repression, where the value of human life was often overlooked in the relentless pursuit of power. Stalin's reign was marked by a relentless pursuit of power and a disregard for human life. And that's the chilling reality of the reign of terror under Joseph Stalin. Stalin's death in 1953 marked the end of an era, but his legacy continues to cast a long shadow over Russia and the world. Even today, the impact of his policies continues to reverberate, shaping both the history and the present of the Soviet Union and beyond. Stalin's industrialization drive, for instance, transformed the Soviet Union from a largely agrarian society into a global superpower, capable of standing toe-to-toe with the mightiest nations on Earth. His 5-year plans, despite their grim human cost, managed to catapult the country into an industrialized age, with steel mills, factories and power plants sprouting up like mushrooms after a rain. However, this rapid development came at a steep price. The forced collectivization of agriculture led to widespread famine, most notably the Holodomor in Ukraine, where millions perished. Stalin's Great Purge, a campaign of political repression, led to the execution and imprisonment of countless people, decimating the intellectual and political life of the nation. Internationally, Stalin's policies and actions shaped the trajectory of the 20th century. His pact with Hitler in 1939 set the stage for World War II, while his aggressive post-war expansionism ignited the Cold War. Whether it was in the trenches of Stalingrad or the diplomatic halls of Yalta, Stalin's influence was felt far and wide. Today, debates still rage about Stalin's role in history. In Russia, some view him as a strong leader who defended the motherland and transformed it into a superpower. Others see him as a ruthless dictator, whose reign of terror left deep scars on the nation's psyche. This dichotomy is also reflected in the broader world, where interpretations of Stalin's legacy can be as contentious as the man himself. Stalin's life serves as a stark reminder of the dangers of unchecked power and the human cost of political ambition. His legacy, complex and controversial, continues to echo in the annals of history, a testament to the far-reaching impact of a single individual's rule. Edward Radzinsky's Stalin offers a detailed and insightful look into the life of one of the most controversial figures in history. Through this narrative, we have traversed the complex journey of Stalin, a man whose life is a testament to the paradoxes of power and ambition. In our exploration, we first delved into the rise of Stalin, an obscure seminary student who transformed into a formidable leader. Radzinsky paints a vivid picture of a man who, driven by an ambition as vast as the Siberian plains, clawed his way up the ranks of the Bolshevik Party to eventually seize control of an empire. We then ventured into the chilling era of Stalin's reign of terror. It was a time of purges and paranoia, where dissent was met with brutal retribution. The book pulls no punches in depicting the sheer scale of the atrocities committed under Stalin's rule, and the fear that pervaded every corner of the Soviet Union. The narrative also delved into Stalin's enduring legacy. Even after his death, the shadow of Stalin looms large over Russia and the world. His policies and actions have had far-reaching implications, shaping the course of history in ways that continue to resonate today. The overarching message of Radzinsky's Stalin is one of stark realism. It does not shy away from the harsh realities of Stalin's rule, nor does it seek to glorify or demonize him. Rather, it provides a nuanced portrayal of a man who was both a product and a perpetrator of his times. In understanding the life and legacy of Stalin, we gain insight into the complexities of power, ambition, and the human capacity for both good and evil. As we reflect on this narrative, we are reminded that history is not just a chronicle of events, but a mirror that reflects our collective triumphs and failures, our hopes and fears, our capacity for greatness, and our potential for destruction.